Hare Krishna, dear participants. Parveen here. So, welcome to the today's session on mind, matter, and beyond by Professor Laxmidhar Behera. So, we'll be waiting for 5 more minutes for more participants to join. So, we'll start this session at 5:35. So, I'll just give a brief introduction to Professor Lakshmidhar Behera. So, Professor is the Dr. Lakshmidhar Behera is Poonam and Prabhu Goyal Chair Professor at IIT Kanpur. He has research and teaching experience for more than 25 years. He has received BSc Engineering and MSc Engineering degrees from NIT Rourkela and a PhD degree from IIT Delhi in 1996. He is one of the pioneers in the field of AI-based autonomous robotics. His work lies in the convergence of machine learning, control theory, robotics, robotic vision, heterogeneous robotic platforms. He has published more than 250 papers in journals and conference proceedings. He is fellow of INAE and senior member of IEEE. He is one of the technical committee members on robotics. And also, the various ISS activities are being run under his guidance. So, we welcome Professor Lakshmidhar Behera for today's session. Hare Krishna. Professor Behera, you can present. Okay, so he has messaged that it will take 2 more minutes, no problem. So we can, Indrajit Prabhu, if you can show our. Okay, so he is available. Yes. So welcome, Professor Behera.
Okay, so thank you, Praveen Kumarji and the organizers of ISS Institute of Science and Spirituality, and all the participants. What I'm going to do before my slides are here in this, it is there, okay. So before I start, I would like to take some questions that I already have in my lap, in my mobile. So okay, so here. So is that fine? Should I take some questions or I should start with the presentation? Prem Kishore Prabhu.
As per your wish, Prabhuji. So you want to take questions related to today's topic or the last session?
Last. Some just to
Yes, please.
warm up things.
Yes, please.
Okay. Name is not there, only the question is there. Okay. So name are not there, so that's not important now because name is not there. The questions that I have, only questions are there. If we lost all connection towards matter, then we get divine path. Then how can anyone go forward when we lost all kind of attraction to a matter? How can I develop my consciousness and sync with it? Okay. So, matter means that you are, connection, when you disconnect yourself from the matter, doesn't mean you are unconnected. You are isolated. So, when you can only be materially insulated only when you are spiritually connected. It is it's not that when you materially, if I am isolated materially, then I am. No, you cannot be materially disconnected and still remain isolated. It is that is a state which is there, Brahman realization, where people merge themselves into Brahmajyoti of Krishna. But in general, when I detach myself completely from matter, means that is a state when I am spiritually fully connected. Does desire come from consciousness? Then how to make correct desire? Desires, they normally come from three modes of material nature. How I associate with three modes, they induce desires within me. भगवान कहते हैं कि प्रकृति भी नित्य है. हाँ, प्रकृति भी नित्य है, वो सही है. Material energy is permanent, but material energy in its original form is formless, inert, qualityless, and abhyakta, unmanifest. Material energy takes the form when it is mixed or impregnated with the living entities. Prakriti and consciousness are same thing, or consciousness is a wider concept? Yes, Prakriti and consciousness are same as far as material life is concerned. And pure consciousness or divine consciousness is completely transcendental to the Prakriti, which is called material consciousness. Sir, you said that the house is a representative of the consciousness of the man who built it, but a thief sees the house through his own filter of consciousness. How to transmit the same consciousness of the house builder to the thief? No, see, these are not our objective. Our objective is not, if you have built your house as a temple, then it is possible. Because you have built a house to enjoy or to do sense gratification, and thief is also doing the same thing. He is using a house for his point of view for sense gratification. So no distinction. If you have built a house as a temple, then it is possible that thief may get transformed. What is the real language of thought? Today we are going to discuss. Can you define subtle consciousness through the way of gross consciousness? Yes, my subtle consciousness gets expressed by the way I associate with the gross consciousness. So, my subtle consciousness is representative of my own association. What kind of association? Gross association I am taking. We understand that our emotion to be hormonal fluctuation, neurochemical transmission between various sense organ and brain cells. How does consciousness exactly interact here with our physiological phenomena and helps create the unity of perception? One is the emotion that is gross. Emotion gets expressed. For example, when you are really very, imagine a child, a newly born child, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 5 months old. When they feel hungry, they don't know the language. So what do? They cry. They cry. That means the hunger, the experience of hunger is being expressed in terms of certain bodily behavior. Okay? So when the subtle body becomes very sick in mode of ignorance, then they cannot positively influence the brain. And because they cannot positively influence the brain, a brain is incapable of releasing dopamine that would make you happy. But it's not the otherwise. Because the dopamine is not there, the doctors, they give dopamine, they give some medicine for the release of dopamine, doesn't mean that the patient becomes cured. You will see literally all psychic patients, only if they take shelter of spiritual path, they get cured. Materially, they don't have any solution. Most of the things. That's why I have interacted 3-4 psychiatrists, and that's why they always say, you remember, I was shocked to see one doctor was telling, who's your Kul Devata? And so can you meditate on him? So like that he was talking some nonsense, because he has no idea about spiritual thing, but he knows that whatever he is doing is not going to work. So he is trying to fool in some other way, and says, if you are more attuned with your Kul Devata, then you'll be all right. And the fact is that there are so many, they are depressed, and by worshipping demigods, many of them they get cured. By their faith in demigod, they get cured. It's a fact. So, and that is why, looking at those data, they say, okay, you remember your Kul Devata. But their medical science doesn't say that. Okay? So, what is there in medicine book or a neurology book is not that the doctors they follow that. Doctors follow something from there and what really works on the. So as I told you, if your mind is not very strong, it is not in mode of goodness, your sick mind will make your brain also sick. The sickness in your brain, in your body, is because of your sickness in the mind. It is not vice versa. Of course, if you always remain physically in mode of ignorance, that will also affect the mind. But in general, if mind is very strong in mode of goodness, then you would be regulated from the very childhood. So that is the point. So can you tell us any famous Loka in Srimad-Bhagavad-Gita related to consciousness? Everything. Say my favorite verse, there are so many verses are there, and as I told you, chapter 2, sorry, because recently I was giving chapter summary of 2. Second chapter is all about consciousness, and you want to hear consciousness. Here is a verse. Avinashi tu tadvidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasam abhyay sasya na kaschit kartum arati. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. So this is the 17th verse number from chapter 2. The Bhagavad Gita is all about consciousness. Which verse I have to tell you is all about consciousness only. Okay, so this is the one verse. You just meditate on that. I had to become good scientist, one should have good consciousness. But do all scientists believe in consciousness? That is the irony, that without knowing consciousness, they are still scientists. Sanat Bhattacharya, is it like that a proper transmission of consciousness we have to be under the influence of some mode of nature? Yes, a mode of goodness. If you are under mode of goodness, your consciousness will be better. That point I am going to discuss today. What leads you to axiom of the basic building block of the matter? You see that I gave the basic building block of the matter. Basic building of matter and spirit, everything. I gave the universal truth, and that is based on Bhagavad Gita. So it's not my manufactured idea. No, it is there in. So I said any basic building block that makes up everything must be eternal, must have no origin, and must have all the properties that its manifestation has and more. So all those things are based on the understanding of Bhagavad Gita. There is a verse also in Shatashatara Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam O Vidadhati Kama. So that's about the basic building block. There was one original conscious being, and he is the reason for all other conscious being to manifest, conscious entity to manifest. There is only one eternal being, and he is the cause of all eternal energy to manifest. That is, originally he is one, but he became many, and he alone provides everything for sustenance of everything. So that's the very idea of what is the universal building block of everything. So absolute truth makes up everything. So without absolute truth, nothing would exist. If he withdraws, everything will become unmanifest. Trillions of Brahmandas, trillions of universes will become unmanifest if he withdraws. So he alone is the basic building block. Okay, I think there are so many questions. Already it is 5:51, so I would start. Today is mind, matter, and beyond. And I have been last 2 days. I have been so busy for something that so I have to first share, share, and mind, matter. Good. What is happening?
Yes, screen is visible.
ये क्यों आ गया? Okay, and I have to do like this, right? अब ठीक है? Okay. Okay, dear participant in this symposium, weekly symposium that is going on behalf of ISS, I formally welcome all of you to this talk on mind, matter, and beyond. And let me explain the essence of last talk on Sunday, levels of consciousness. I said all inert matters are also they represent a form of consciousness. Although they are inert, they are passive consciousness, but they are known as object of consciousness, right? So whether car, bungalow, bank balance, everything, they are all objects of consciousness. Okay, because when a certain object I encounter, through that my own consciousness gets revealed, my own material consciousness. That's why I don't see car, I don't see bungalow, I don't see bank balance. What I see through them, my own consciousness. So that's why they are form of consciousness. Living matter, this is living matter can be in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance, or in mixed mode of these three modes. Again, so in mode of goodness, we become knowledgeable. We start asking right questions, and passion and ignorance is about self-destruction, right? Passion and ignorance is about self-destruction. So mode of goodness is very, very important, and that's what matters actually. And then we talked about pure consciousness. There are two categories, kshara and akshara. Kshara is all living entities, and akshara is the absolute consciousness, the basic building block of everything that exists. So it's simple, right? It's a big concept, but it's simple. We have to understand it, internalize it, and live according to this. Now, we are talking about mind, matter, and consciousness. And I'm not going to discuss mind, matter, consciousness, mind, matter, and beyond according to modern science, because I cannot explain everything in 1 hour. So mostly I'm going to give a talk according to Bhagavad-Gita. So one is semantic matter. So the absolute semantic comes from absolute consciousness. Absolute consciousness is full of semantics, full of meaning, right? It has full of purpose. And its creation is the pradhan, the unmanifested material energy. It is co-eternal with the absolute consciousness. Absolute consciousness um, uh, it gives rise naturally. When pradhan is its own natural energy. That means, for example, a prime minister, he can exhibit his energy through the governmental machinery, right? That is, his cabinet ministers, the police system, the soldiers, they are bordering our, giving our, they're guarding our borders. So that's one kind of energy, right? And the other energy is that he, as a prime minister, he's in personal touch with so many others. They may be very few, but he is connected through his government machinery to all of us, right? This is so. Similarly, we are all connected to absolute consciousness within this material world through pradhan, the unmanifested material energy. And the pradhan is the bridge for us to get connected to him. And this pradhan becomes three modes of material nature when mixed or impregnated with the living entities, right? So living entities are spiritual sparks. They are also energy of the absolute truth. And when they are thrown into pradhan, which was in equilibrium, it loses the equilibrium and the modes manifest. So three modes. The first active, pradhan, is inactive energy, absolutely passive energy, whereas modes of material nature is the active energy. Okay? And that active energy gives rise to individual elements. The first manifestation is false ego, intelligence, and mind. And then from there comes 5 gross elements: sound, touch, form, smell, and taste. And they are object of senses for, and their carriers are ether, air, fire, water, and earth. So this is the composition of semantic matter. This itself is a very, during Bhagavat Sankhya, I had discussed this topic a little more, but and this particular semantic matter has been talked in Bhagavad-Gita, 7th chapter, 7.4. Krishna talks about his material energy, 3 modes of material nature in the form of 8 elements: earth, water, air, fire, ether, and false ego, intelligence, and mind. Mana, buddhi, ahankara, bhumi, apo, analo, vayu, kham, mano, buddhi, ahankara. So these are the 8 components of 3 modes of material nature. Okay, so that's semantic matter. Why semantic matter? Because I will explain that. It will be very, very clear. So this, what you saw, the semantic matter hierarchy, the center here is mind. Mind is the center. It is central to everything. What is mind? Today's discussion is about mind. Because unless we understand mind, unless we learn how to deal with mind, we would be failure all the time. So mind is the subtle form of all desires. All right? So each one of these desires manifests based on association with the object of senses. So mind is there. The moment it comes across Rasgulla, then immediately it desires to eat it. Right? So that is the point. That means it has all the desires. Like, for example, you are born in a very remote jungle, somewhere remote village, and suddenly you are encountered with someone who is wearing suit boot and riding on a car, and he's looking so smart. Then immediately the mind's desire is expressed, either to work hard and be like that, or you have enough intelligence to realize that this fellow is a foolish idiot. I have nothing to do with this kind of lifestyle. So basically, your mind's state of mind is revealed based on the object of senses that you come across, right? So this is very, very important point. So we have to imagine, when you naturally it manifests phenomenally as vision, sound, smell, emotion, thought, right? So as an experience, mind which is very subtle, I experience that using my senses, using my gross body, experience it. Okay, so this is very, very important. It is and this is the fourth one is very, very important. It is a semantic object in mode of goodness. This is very, very central to understanding mind. Mind is one element within our body. Our body is made up of one element, mind, and that mind is the only element that is in mode of goodness. But unfortunately, we keep this mind, which is, it naturally becomes happy, or it remains in equilibrium, equifies in mode of goodness, but we allow ourselves to be associated with the mode of ignorance and passion so much, then the mind always remains in agitated state. So it remains in an agitated state when associated with the mode of passion and ignorance. That means it's unnatural. So when I am passionate, I am I am in ignorant, I am associating with ignorance, then my mind is not stable. In goodness, mind is the mirror in which we can experience the self divine. And this is the very fundamental aspect of mind. When mind is pure, then it acts like a divine mirror for me to manifest in that manner. That means I see who am I. That is why mind is the central. I hope this is very clear. What is mind? Mind is a conscious element, is a very subtle conscious element, right? And these are the points I'm going to discuss, but let's look at what Bhagavad Gita talks about mind. So Krishna says in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when it is controlled, it is your best friend. When it is uncontrolled, it is your worst enemy. Worst enemy. Right? And so this is there in 6.5. Udaredatpanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva hi atmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanaha. A man must elevate himself by his own mind, not degrade himself. Mind is a friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Right? Bandhuratmanastasya enatmaivatmanajita anatmanastu satrutve vartetatmaiva satruvat. For him who has conquered the mind is the best friend. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. That means uncontrolled mind is in a state of mode of ignorance and a mode of passion. Controlled mind is in mode of goodness. So, dear friend, if you know that your mind is dictating you, you are being dictated by your mind, that means you have agitated your mind by passion and ignorance. Your company is full of passion and ignorance. Then you are about to commit suicide. Jitatmanah prasantasya paramatma samahita sitasno sukadukkesu tatha manopomanayo. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, or he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. All the same. So, dear friend, you see, and it is, although I said if mind is mode of goodness, it is controlled mind, and mind is an agitated means it is an unnatural state of passion and ignorance. It is very easy to say, but you see what's happening here. Arjuna is saying, Chanchalam hi manaha Krishna Pramati Valavadrudam Tasyaham Nigraham Manne Vayuriva Suduskaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, very strong. O Krishna, to subdue it seems to me more difficult than controlling wind. Imagine hudud or whatever in a super cyclone. So Arjuna is saying it is very easy to control super cyclone or hudhud than controlling the mind. And what Krishna is saying? Sri Bhagavan Vacha Asamsayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyaseno Kunteya Vairagyena Chagruihate. Supreme Personality of God had said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by constant practice and by detachment. Okay, so this is a reference to Bhagavad Gita. I would skip that because now let us come to our topic today. What is my topic? My topic is, where does meaning start, right? Because we are talking about consciousness. What is the distinction between consciousness and that which is not consciousness? So first of all, let me tell you, everything for us is an experience, right? Like for example, I have an object. This object is an experience to me, right? Is that able to see? People are able to see that I am holding a. They are seeing?
Yes, sir, but वो छोटा दिख रहा है सर, वो screen sharing है ना, तो सर थोड़ा छोटा दिख रहा है.
But दिख रहा है ना? Okay. So everything is an experience for me through sound, touch, form, smell and taste. Everything is an experience. So in my experience, consciousness is also an experience. So what is consciousness? Consciousness that gives me or conveys me some meaning, right? Right, for example, I'm thinking, what is the basic building block of the universe? And the kind of axioms that I put, If I cannot think, then I cannot speak like that, right? So the meaning, like water. Water is a word, W-A-T-R. Somebody who has not heard uh, uh, the English, he would say, what is saying? Uh, just like a North Indian, when he hears South Indians speaking, it's like a noise. And when South Indians, they hear North Indians speaking, it's like noise to them, right? But the actual water, when you feel thirsty, whether you are a North Indian or South Indian, you are Indian or American, the object that you are looking for, that is water. Whether I express that using language A or language B or language C is immaterial, right? So where is this meaning? One of the things is that meaning certainly in our ability to think, right? Meaning is in desire. Meaning is there in my feeling, right? So that is called semantic. Consciousness is all about being soaked in meaningful information. Meaningful information. Consciousness is all about being soaked in meaningful information. Like a businessman. You spoke to him everything, but he found there is nothing that you spoke has any importance in terms of his earning money, making big business. It doesn't make any sense to him. Whether you spoke well, you didn't speak well, doesn't matter. So everybody lives in a consciousness, and that consciousness itself is one kind of meaningful information, right? And that information gets synchronized when the object of senses also have similar meaningful information. Like somebody who is a spiritualist. You suddenly landed in Tokyo and you are looking for where is a temple, where is a temple. And then you saw there is Hare Krishna. Immediately your eyes became very wide and you became very happy, and then knocked at the door and somebody comes and Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and then you feel, oh, I am home. All right. So it's all about, as a conscious being, we are looking for some meaningful communication, information. Information and communication, they are all one and identical. If the information is not getting communicated, is no meaning. So these are all very deep topics. So what I'm trying to speak to you, see, I want all of you to start thinking. So I'm now talking about how do you understand consciousness. There are so many ways you have to break this tough knot called mind. Before you understand consciousness, you have to understand what is mind, right? So and it is not very easy to understand mind, but it takes time. It takes time to understand mind. So you have to be patient and listen to me, and it requires. So I had last time I told you, right? So do I need a language to be able to think? Do I need a language? Does thinking require A language. Does thinking require a language? This is the question. Okay. Suppose you didn't have any language, and when you felt hungry, imagine in the evolutionary process, when man was feeling hungry, he must have started thinking how to find this food. And his thinking must have led him to perform certain action. Right? So, is it required? You see, there are because many of you are devotees, I can also give this example. When a seeker of truth enters into spiritual rapture, those spiritual raptures, what he is experiencing, he cannot explain. Because he cannot explain that in language what happens. That experience manifests through his gross body in the form of, hair standing on end, tears rolling down the cheeks, and there is, this is called Ashtasartika Vikara, howling, laughing like a madman. You lose your external consciousness. So many things happen. That means your experience and your thinking is independent of the language. But I will tell you, I will show you how people started thinking like that. For me, I can easily, because I have studied Bhagavad-Gita, I can easily tell you that I don't need a language. I don't need a language either to experience thing, or to desire thing, or to think. I don't need a language. Okay? And that's because of my cultivation in the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and practicing a lifestyle that is in synchrony with Bhagavad Gita. I can easily tell it. If you tell me, you explain to me, then I have to do some experiment, I can explain to you. Okay? But the point here is, this very topic, language and thought, I'll give you a historical background here. Some of the things that I'll skip, because you see, Plato, in the beginning, he said, language and thought are identical. What a terrible mess. Language and thought, they are identical. Then Aristotle said, mankind could not have one language, as all do not think the same. J.B. Watson thought his language as subvocal speech. Think aloud. That means speech and speak covertly. Speech, think aloud, right? Speak covertly. Thinking, right? Think aloud. So, and of course, there are two opinions. Whether thoughts are formed before we utter the word, whether thoughts arise in terms of words we utter. Okay. So, these are two opinions. You see, you are feeling hungry when you are a baby. You cried. Okay. But when you started learning the language, what you said? Now you didn't cry. You said, pani, pani, pani. Or dood, 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 dood. Because you learned the language. Before that you were crying. That means you had the same thought you want to express, But that was grounded, your feeling has been grounded by some vocabulary, word. Okay? The words are meaningless unless they are grounded with your feeling. Try to understand this. Language is meaningless unless it is grounded to your thinking, to your feeling, to your willing. If they are not grounded, language is meaningless. So water has no meaning. Water derives its meaning by getting grounded by the experience of the person. So this is something that you have to understand. So I'm not going to give this stupid theory, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, linguistic relativity. This is a very popular hypothesis. I don't know how still people can digest this nonsense, because they don't have idea of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why they are all having all this nonsense within their baggage. And so they says language determines the thought, and that linguistic categories limit and determine cognitive categories. Absolutely bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Okay? You know that there are many deaf and dumb people. They have very wonderful compositions. Beethoven is one of the deaf and dumb person, I think. And he is known for his compositions, artistic creativity. He is deaf and dumb. Okay? That means he has no idea what is language. But he manifested that language in the form of music. How is it possible? Okay? So this, these people, they cannot, because the lack of understanding, and I'm going to, these are all the contemporary theory. Jerry Fodder is one of the very great authority. I think he's an MIT guy. And he says language of thought. Language of thought means that means mind has its own language. That you can say mind has its own language. That is the Jerry Fodder's idea. Mind has its own language, right? That is called mentalese. So that is a that is a mentalese, mentalese, mentalese. That means language of the mind. Okay, so mind thinks it is in its own language. But unfortunately, whether this is Jerry Fodder or the proposition of theory of those who are talking about representational theory of mind, or causal syntactic theory of mental processes. In cognitive science, you have many theory. These people, they don't understand what is mind, first of all. But at least I can give some credit to Jerry Fodder that he said mind has its own language. It is an evolved mind has it's very well directed syntax, logical representation. So this mentalist language is logical. It has a very good syntactic structure, and that's his speculation. But now I will give you some idea how we can understand mind, because one thing is that we say, oh, mind, normally devotees, when they speak Bhagavad Gita, they will say, oh, I will explain you what is mind. How you will explain, you think of a chariot, chariot is driven by 5 horses. These 5 horses are senses, and then there is a driver. That driver is intelligence, and it is controlling those horses using a rope or a rein, and that's its mind. And then there is a passenger, that is the soul, and the chariot is the body. And you thought you have understood everything. Dear friend, no. This is how we can never understand things. Neither we can in a mass scale disseminate Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Bhagavad Gita has to be disseminated. Just like why modern science entered into mass scale? Because the propounder of modern science made all out effort how they are stupid, whatever theory is, can reach out, and they brought everything that they did into curriculum, and it was taught. And the way we are teaching mind, I don't think we can bring that into curriculum. This is the problem. Okay? So, I am taking again this is a statement by Jerry Fodor again. The mind is like a sea, and whirlpools are concept. This is not my thing. This is Jerry Fodor's. But I am taking that because, after all, Jerry Fodor is also a scientist. He's thinking. Now he is able to realize mind is like ocean. Okay? Deep ocean. And in that ocean, you have these thoughts, right? Which are whirlpools. And how these thoughts, they arise. You remember how I explained the mind. Mind is a subtle form of all desires. So let's say concept happiness, right? This is a concept, happiness, right? This happiness has certain form. Happiness is not something arbitrary. It has a form, because when you see a person, independent of who he is, you know whether by his facial expression whether he is happy or not happy. It doesn't matter whether he is a female or a male, he is a black or white, he is a Hindu or a Muslim, American, Indian. Doesn't matter. Happiness. You seeing the happiness of a person. This happiness is coming. It's a descending process. This sinking in through mind. If mind is happy, you are happy. Mind is unhappy, even if I give you good bungalow, the big car, everything, you will not be happy because your mind is not happy. Try to understand this. So, concept happiness. I'm trying now introducing what are these concepts. So, when I say mind is the subtle form of this concept called happiness, so in one notion of mental language, this happiness can refer to the concept wealth, concept education, concept beauty, concept success. Yeah. This is how is a materialistic person, he becomes happy, right? Similarly, concept misery, right? Or sadness. I would not say, Gupta, you should pick, instead of saying misery, you should say sadness, right? So concept sadness, right? So that refers to sub-concepts such as penury. You have nothing. You don't even have a bread to eat now. You are worrying whether you can get a next piece of bread to satisfy or quench your hunger. Like you are illiterate, fool, you have no opportunity to study, or you are a failure, right? Whether as a student, as a teacher, as a, today, one of my students, he has done PhD. He argued with me how y equal to x plus 2 is not linear. Can you imagine? Y equal to x plus 2. A PhD student, after completing PhD, he says, this is not linear. When I was in shock. And I was devastated. My anger came out. I said, how he could become my student? It's my failure that he has not even learned that y equal to x plus 2 is simply a simple line. It is a linear thing. Okay? And you suddenly realize you are mad, you are angry. Okay? It's sadness. It's a sadness. Because As a teacher, you are a failure. As a teacher, you are a failure. Your student even doesn't know y equal to x plus 2 is linear. Huh? In 9th standard student, they learn y equal to mx plus c is a equation of a line. Line means linear. Huh? If somebody after PhD says, oh, this is not linear, you have to commit suicide that you have produced such a PhD. Okay, so this is called concept sadness. These are all mental phenomena, my dear friend. These are not gross bodily phenomena. These are all mental phenomena. Try to understand this. I am going to explain this again further. Concept relaxation. The concept relaxation that is there in mind, if you are in America or in in a royal family, then that would turn out to be concept resort, concept house, concept hotel, concept sea beach. Same concept relaxation for a poor man would be, some celebration time like Deepavali, family members, they come, you converse with them, then that becomes concept relaxation for them. So the concept relaxation is a bigger concept, and that manifests through this concept resort, house, hotel, sea beach. These are called gross representation of mental concept called relaxation. Okay, so you see this, these are wealth, education, beauty, success. These are the gross form of mental state. Okay, what is your mental state? That gets associated with the gross state. Okay, wealth, education, beauty, and success. So similarly, concept safety. Safety, I should be safe. So how is it safe? Then that brings out the sub-concept, that is the gross concept, called house, family, country. So you see these things. I hope whatever I'm speaking, it going across you. I don't know whether, because unfortunately I cannot see you, I cannot see your face, you are not in front of me, and our Professor Prem Kishore, he's putting me in trouble by making all these online classes, which I had very much. Okay, and so now same thing, whatever concept happiness, concept sadness, concept relaxation, concept safety. Now let us reverse that, bring into another category of people. That will be concept self, concept renunciation, concept transcendental knowledge, concept relationship with Krishna, and concept misery. In this category, lack of devotee association, sense gratification, failure. uh, Similarly, concept relaxation, singing Hare Krishna, dancing in front of the deity, enjoying prasadam, visiting temple. Concept safety would be depending on Krishna, following Guru and Krishna, spiritual shelter. So you see that how I am creating the mental concept. I would like all of you to read purport of Canto 1, Chapter 3, I think verse number 37 or 38, I'm forgetting. Around that verse number 1.3.37 or 38, please go back. There, Prabhupada is saying that mind becomes pure if your habits are pure. And he talks about 4 habits: eating habit, sleeping habit, defending habit, and sexual habit. If these 4 things are purified or sanctified, then mind becomes pure, right? So, and you can always connect these things to the concept mind, right? So 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 you see that these things, I gave some example: happiness, sadness, relaxation, safety. These are the state of mind. These are not state of gross object. Okay, so this is something that we have to understand. What is mind? I've tried my best to give you some idea about mind, but now let's see. So what we can, now I'm going to tell you how to, but some of the possible research work, as I have promised. See, I did one of my students, and he did some research and then he fled, and that paper still not published. And this our Gupta, what is happening? Why that work has not been taken to the next level? Eh? So I did CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, using Hare Krishna, and there are, we have done a lot of work. There are a lot of data, and we have shown that sleep quality improves like anything by this, right? So what I try to do using cognitive behavior therapy, uh, uh, with the use of Hare Krishna meditation and Yoga Nidra, what I have done, I have tried to bring people's mind into the mode of goodness, and that allowed people to sleep well. You don't know, nowadays, literally 95% people are suffering from sleep disorder, starting with sleep apnea. And nobody is talking about it. Very few people are aware of it. Very little research is happening. The other is sleep and dream. You see that particularly young people, they see dreams, and these dreams are sapping. They drain your energy. There are dreams where you lose your semen. It's an absolute drainage of energy, right? And we can really do good quality research and explain how if you can bring in mind into mode of goodness, your sleep would improve, your dream will be better. Dream that you will see, the dream that will give positive energy, it will not induce negative energy, right? Similarly, relieving stress, depression through association mode of goodness, we need to do a lot of clinical tests for this. And more important is a very scientific component. We have to develop biomarkers for a relaxed and agitated mind. And I can tell that if we derive this biomarker relaxed and agitated mind, you will see that relaxed mind the biomarkers will be of that of mode of goodness, and agitated mind will be surely biomarkers of related to mode of passion and ignorance. I can give you guarantee. This is there in Bhagavad Gita. We just have to do research and bring it to the people, and newspapers and media houses, they're waiting to publish such research. And then Bhagavad Gita would disseminate in leaps and bounds. Okay, I have, I'm telling in my research group, people, please go do this kind of research, but people are not doing. And okay, so now matter in modern science, as I have told you, it starts from quantum field. They don't know what is the origin of this quantum field. For them, they say, okay, you assume this is existing, this quantum field is existing, and then so this quantum field, what it produces two scientific objects. One is particle, the other is wave. Okay, and then the combination of this particle and wave in some specific arrangement results in life forms, and then consciousness is an emerging phenomena. And this is stupid theory, and the entire world is investing billions and trillions of dollars on such researches. This is the very unfortunate thing, and we are sitting idle doing nothing. And you see that all this matter in modern science, they are all syntactic. There is no meaning there. Okay, and electromagnetic wave is the predominant medium of interactive communication. Okay, and what is very important here, I would like to tell you, what is quantum field? This is no meaning. It is formless substance, meaningless and formless substance, and they make up meaning and form. That is what is the modern science. Meaningless and formless substance, they make up meaning and form. Okay, and that's ba 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 ba. This is what we say. And unfortunately, we have a spiritual tradition that is called impersonal philosophy. And impersonal philosophy and modern science, they are one and the same. There is no distinction. I don't know how many of you have noticed it. There is literally no distinction. An impersonal philosopher and a modern scientist in the deep philosophical level, they should, handshake each other. Okay, because for them, meaningless and formless substance. But Bhagavad Gita says just opposite. It says completely opposite. It says the basic building block has all the meaning, and it has variegated form, and hence it can make up manifestation that can be without form or with form. So this is mind and matter interaction. What time it is now?
6:42.
6:42.
42.
Okay. So mind has form, and speech, touch, form, smell, and taste have forms. This is the point, not otherwise. So hypothesis, this is my own hypothesis. Mind is a semantic space of superposition of many concepts, both subtle and subtler, and its state is an outcome of its association with a sense object. You can look at the quantum mechanics. A quantum object is always in superposed state, and then what is your detector? Based on that, one specific outcome you will have. But in the current quantum mechanics, once you detected its state, then it loses its quantum property. But mind doesn't lose that property. This is very fundamental than what quantum mechanics. So here, mind is a semantic space of superposition of many concepts, both subtle and subtler, and its state is an outcome of its association with the sense object. So association is a measurement device, right? So here, like just to give you a little idea that Rasgulla and Mr. Gupta and Rasgulla, right? So Mr. Gupta likes sweet, and the moment Rasgulla he sees, then he salivates, because mind manifests that property, semantic property, that he wants to enjoy sweet, right? So he wants to be relaxed. All of you know that. When you take sweet, you get a good relaxation. Okay, so relaxation. is one of the property of mind or one of the state of mind. So mind really feels relaxed when you feed your hungry stomach or yourself, your taste bud, some sweet. So this is what is mind, and of course, um, they have to be taken to the very uh, foundational level of experiment. I am going to end my lecture in 10 minutes. Science of association. So when I say association of sense objects, right? So these are all we have to be, when we have to do experiment, we have to design the experiment. We have to be very careful what kind of experiment we are designing. So science of association means science of communication, how information exchange would take place. These are all profound science concept that we have to uh, continue. We have to perform. I would give you one professor, Professor Robert G. Jahn. I met him in Bielefeld in 2005 in Germany. Bielefeld is a city in Germany, and I was invited there to give an expert talk on a workshop on endophysics, science, quantum, time, and subjectivity. In that, I met Robert G. Jahn. In fact, he was very interested me to join his group at least for some a couple of years. I didn't know why I didn't go, but I think it's good. I was probably not ready to go to his lab. But although he has no idea what is Bhagavad Gita, what is consciousness, what is mind, but we have to give him some credit that he could do experiment that how mind influences machine, and he could at least he could hypothesize mind is a subtler form of energy than matter. You must know any energy that is subtler has more power. More subtler is the energy, its influencing power is more. Okay? So, if mind is strong, then you can be a good doctor, good sportsman. But if you are physically fit, weak mind, you cannot become a good doctor, a good sportsman, or whatever. You can't. So a material scientist, Robert G. Jahn, conducted various experiments in this direction. We being spiritualists need to design and conduct experiment in mind-matter interaction. So that is my request to all of you. So this is mind-machine interaction experiment. This is in Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab by Robert G. Jahn. And these are, you have to read these papers. I'll just give you some idea. He created a quantum tunneling device, and this quantum tunneling device can generate random numbers. So what is a random number? Suppose you click a coin. Okay, you flip a coin. When you flip a coin, you get head and tail. And if you generate those sequences, let us say 1 million or 1 billion, then you will see after 1 billion flipping, you will see 500 million is head, 500 million is tail, right? So this is what it is. Now, my dear friend, what Professor Jahn, he said, suppose I impose my thought on this machine, that this machine should produce head, right? That means my mind is generating subtler energy, more subtler energy than the energy in which this machine is operating. This is operating in quantum energy level, right? So, and because mind is a subtler energy, it has a more influencing power. okay, on the machine. And what he found out, in fact, if you do that, later, suppose he is thinking head should be outcome, then indeed the outcome of this random generator became tilted more towards head, and it was statistically significant. I don't know how many of you understood this concept, but he is able to bias an unbiased random generator by mind. So this is one very interesting experiment, my dear friend. Okay. So this is what you can see, that how head, the red graph is increasing, right, because of the influence of the mind. You can go through this. Similarly, more experiment. The operators attempted to change the damping rate of the pendulum inside a plexiglass box. You can see that there is a pendulum hanging. All of you know that pendulum swings, right? It swings, right? So, see, the operator attempted to change the damping rate of the pendulum. What is damping rate of the pendulum? The pendulum, when it swings, if it has certain friction, then what will happen? Its amplitude of oscillation will decay, and finally it will come to a standstill, right? So more damping means quicker it will come to standstill. Okay, so this is the idea, and his experiment shows that mentally you can increase the damping ratio of this pendulum. This is very significant thing. Okay, and this is global consciousness. Of course, when we talk about consciousness, you must know, basically active consciousness means mind, and passive consciousness means object of senses. So all active consciousness means is mind, right? So the devices are designed to be independent. They are separated by hundreds or thousands of kilometers. That means you devised the devices and you kept them away from each other. Yet we see the correlation, right? That is anomalous, and it is linked with the consciousness. So basically, what the experiment is, suppose I am here, and I am placed in a, probably, let's say, shielded chamber, and I can influence a person who is working, let us say, in Jharkhand, right? He's working in his paddy field. What he's doing, his action can influence me, and my action, my thought process here can also influence him. Okay, these are the studies in parapsychology. Unfortunately, parapsychology could not become a science in America. Many people started working on parapsychology, but it could not become science because they really don't understand what is mind. Then they don't understand what is mode of goodness. To perform these experiments, you have to be a person, a mode of goodness. One of the reasons why I refused to go to Professor Jan's lab, I still remember, the lady, the principal scientist who was working with him, she was a chain smoker. And I was thinking, this fella is a chain smoker. What he would do in consciousness? And that is one of the reasons. You see, unless we tap the Indian value, the mode of goodness. My dear friend, the Indian value of mode of goodness has not been tapped. And this has to be the next revolution in science. Because when mode of goodness would spread, not only Bhagavad Gita would spread, but also the happiness, the peace and tranquility would spread. So remote perception experiment, you just look at it, precognition, remote perception. He has done a lot of experiment, and he found that his data cannot be explained by existing scientific models, right? So he proposed some models for the superhuman effect, and he blabbered some theory of quantum mechanics of consciousness and blah 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 blah. I'm not going to tell his theory here and to disturb all of you. I don't know why Gupta has put so many things here. I told 5, 6 to put, and he has put so many. Now let us go to okay. So basically, we need to do experiment by which we can demonstrate how mind influences matter. Okay, that means how mind influences my brain, my mind influences my body. Okay, one of the popular thing that Indian tradition has is Yoga Nidra. I have my own audio clip. Those who want to perform Yoga Nidra, you can perform it. And if you regularly perform it, then you can become my controlled clinical patient, and we can do a lot of research. I need more people, more volunteers to come forward and to be soaked in mode of goodness. And the way I have to tell, the way I tell, if you follow, then probably we can do a lot of research. We can test them clinically, and they can get published in first-class journals. So, as I told you, divine experiences, all divine experiences, they make us detached. So also mode of goodness, not only divine experience, mode of goodness. When you are always in mode of goodness, you become detached. Okay? You do not experience lust, greed, anger, envy, or pride like your old self. You are equally disposed to all living beings. You are full of joy. Okay, this is and I had told you last class 2 categories of your consciousness. So this is mind, matter, and then beyond. These are beyond. Bhagavad Gita talks about 2 categories. One is minuscule, which are infinite in number, Kshara, and the other is supreme consciousness, that is one without a second, Akshara. When one is situated in self, Atman, supreme soul reveals himself to the purified soul. And this Akshara is the master always, and we, the minuscule ones, are his eternal servant. Kshara is always eternal servant. So that is Bhagavad Gita. And this absolute Akshara, or absolute consciousness, is variegated. Absolute, although one without second, becomes many for his sweet pastimes. And this is his inconceivable feature. By his mere desire, he can manifest trillions of universes without any effort. Okay? And it is completely wrong to assume that there is no activity at the level of pure consciousness. No. Pure consciousness is full of activity. A very distant vision is the green top mountain, but a closer and deep introspection leads to variegatedness. I give this example very nicely because recently I have been traveling to Dehradun frequently. So when I reach towards Dehradun, first I see just white bubble, right? White bubble. So, looking like now the hills with the top is covered with the snow. But as the plane comes nearer, as it starts landing, then you start seeing these hills little more clearer. But as you started descending, landing exactly, you would be surprised to see in the hilltop, the vehicles are moving, there are houses, all activities are taking place. So it is like that. The pure consciousness is full of activity. And because we have neglected this consciousness, our society is suffering from depression, psychic peasants, behavior disorder, environmental degradation. Human society as a whole is in danger. So conclusion is mind is the central to all our actions. A controlled and regulated mind can lead to our original divine Sarupa. An unbridled mind degrades us. Study of mind in clinical setting can lead to many therapeutic measures for people suffering from stress, anxiety, depression. The beauty is the thing that the biomarkers of mind we can always find in the brain reflection in the form of EEG. That is a good thing. And we can do EEG experiment, with very, it doesn't require big cost, right? And what we need to do now, we have to do, out of the box experiment for mind interaction.
I think there is some issue at. Okay, now come. Yes. So, Professor Behera, we are able to see you now. Yes.
Why you have taken the gallery view? Okay, Prime Kishore Prabhu, my laptop got discharged.
But
And anyway, I have finished my presentation. We are ready to have some interaction.
yeah, yes, it was wonderful presentation and thought provoking. And it was coming to my mind while listening to your lecture that if the collective consciousness or the is affecting each of us. So if we don't preach Krishna consciousness or Bhagavad message of Bhagavad Gita among humanity, the mode of goodness will decrease and mode of passion and ignorance is on increase. So that means that is going to be a disaster for the earth, for the inhabitants of earth if these modes increases. So wonderful session. So one question is being asked by Jyotiranjan. How does mind function in ethereal planes or different tanmatras? How does mind interact with gross matter? I mean, how information.
That is what we have to establish. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Unfortunately, we talk about mind, but how does mind influences matter? We have not done any scientific investigation. Okay.
Yes, yes.
And that is why I put down one to find out biomarkers of an agitated mind and a relaxed mind. So once you do that, you realize that how mind influences the brain. So the very important point here is that in Indian tradition, the yogis, they control their mind, and by yogic practice, they dissociated themselves from the matter. And last time I had given that example of Radhanath Maharaj when he was in somewhere in Uttarakhand near Ganga. So one yogi came and he withdrew himself from his body, right? So mind was separated from the body. And then doctors came, 40 doctors, they checked him, and nothing is happening in his body. His body is passive. And after 1 year, when they realized clinically he's actually dead, but after 1 year he came back again, back to his body. But this kind of experiment only very few can do. But with the advancement of science, we can do a lot of experiment by which we can demonstrate how mind influences mind influences matter, how mind is positively influenced, negatively influenced. So all these, if we do research and disseminate through publication, through media, then obviously there will be great propaganda, and that is necessary. So I cannot answer you because I have only done very few. 2-3 years ago we did one research on how classical music improves the cognition, but that has nothing to do with mind. So we need to devise experiment. We need dedicated people who can give their time and energy to perform these experiments, and then only there will be a proper environment to speak on a subject about which we very little know.
Yes, Prabhuji. So another question is coming from Kunal. He's asking, is it mind who thinks or it's soul who thinks?
No, it is mind which thinks in the gross state. Soul thinks when you are liberated. Mind thinks, not the soul.
Okay. So
For
Tanish.
a devotee, we think through Shastra. So, Vimuda nano pashyanti jnana chakshusa. So those, there are three categories. One is those who are in absolutely material consciousness, they think in mind. And even we don't think in mind nowadays. We are just instinctive fellows. We act through our senses. Whatever senses are demanding, we haven't even killed our mind, and that is why mind becomes. Why people are so depressed. When you indulge in so much of sense gratification, you don't even allow your mind to be active. That is very unfortunate situation. As I told you, mind is strong only in mode of goodness. Very regulated, disciplined life. Imagine a sportsman. He doesn't have get up early morning. He doesn't go to the gym every day at 6 o'clock and spends 3 hours in the gym. No coach would allow him to play in the international event. Okay, and a similar thing. If you want to be a spiritualist, you have to make your mind healthy, mode of goodness. So yes, so those who are seeker of truth, for them, they think from Jnana Chakshu, right? So they don't use mind; they use spiritual intelligence to think. So it's all different level, but the short answer to your question, in mind we think. Yeah.
Okay. So our intuitions caused by mind or Paramatma?
No, intuition is coming from three modes of material nature, Bhaya Paramatma. Intuition comes from three modes of material nature, Bhaya Paramatma, for material thing. And if it is spiritual intuition, then it directly comes through the Paramatma. But normally, all our intuition is all induced by three modes of material nature. But three modes of material nature would communicate through super soul.
There is another question. Mind is unstable because of conscious mind or subconscious mind?
Mind is unstable because of situated in unnatural state. That is passion and ignorance. I'm telling again and again. This idea of subconscious mind, this mind, all nonsense. These are all creation of Western scientists who have no idea, because they basically they don't know uh, any of the aspects of spiritual ingredient that are given in Bhagavad Gita. Unless a Western fellow is trained in science of Bhagavad Gita, like Srila Prabhupada trained his disciples, you cannot understand it. So this subconscious mind is a figment of imagination of Western scientists. As I told you, mind is always conscious. Okay, but are you in your mind or not? That is a different thing. If you are very gross and you are always situated in your senses, like basic instinct, right? Like the animals, they don't use their mind. They don't need a mind. Their whole life objective is ahara, bhaya, nidra, maithuna. Eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. It's all sense. So most of the time we are in our senses. How many Indians are creative? Particularly those who are living in cities. Very few. Because we want to emulate the sense gratification processes of the Western civilization. But Western people are creative not for spiritual advancement. They are creative to enhance their material sense gratification. Even we are not that creative. So basically, when we are situated mostly in our senses, mind means creative. When you are situated in mind, you will be creative. That is for sure. Creativity comes from a strong mind.
Right.
Next.
Can mind control and run machines in reality in near future?
That is what Professor Jan has done some research. Uh, the point is that what is the goal of his research? I don't know. You have to have a goal of research. Why we should study mind? First objective is that we have to make mind as a standalone original element more subtler than the gross elements. We want to establish mind is more primary than the so-called fundamental particles that science is studying. According to science, the fundamental particles or the quantum field is primary. Mind is epiphenomena. So this is something that we want to do. You have to have an objective in your research. Of course, Professor Jan had some idea about this. But he didn't realize that mind is central to our spiritual progress. That is why we must study mind.
Okay.
So it is not important the mind can influence machine. Mind is influencing your body. Next.
Right.
And no, can you imagine a machine that is more complicated than human body? Eh? Don't you hear any sports, international Olympic level sportsmen? They all say, when you go to the competition, it is all in mind. It doesn't matter. Okay? Just like, when Arjuna was asked, what is seeing? Everybody answered differently. Arjuna saw that I am seeing the eyes of the fish. So this is what is strong mind. That
Yes.
you are business minded. You know what is your goal. That is strong.
Okay. So the next question is from Suhas. I understand intelligence superimpose mind. Please comment.
Very good question. Uh, Intelligence, I told you that when we become devotee, we think not through mind but through our spiritual intelligence. And then we make mind our subservient. Whereas for a materialist, mind becomes master. And whatever mind desires, that very action is planned and performed by intelligence. So that is how mind and intelligence relationship. So intelligence is uh, even more subtler form of consciousness, uh, but the material intelligence is in mode of passion, whereas spiritual intelligence is more of mode of pure goodness. So you have to decide which intelligence you want. If you want material intelligence, then we would degrade in our mind. And we want spiritual intelligence to guide mind, then our mind would become stronger. Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is from where and how does mind gets energy to be active?
All the elements in our body, they ultimately get energy from super soul. Super soul resides within our heart, near our heart. The moment super soul leaves along with the soul, the body is declared dead. So all energy is coming from super soul. Without super soul, that is why I am telling. It is the absolute consciousness that is the basic building block of everything. Next.
Okay. So I think this will be the last question. All the questions are still coming, but it is
I
already.
think we keep next because I have another talk, Ram Katha, supposed to start at 7 o'clock. So
Oh, I think then we can stop here.
okay. So thank you. I hope this lecture was of any use to all the participants. Uh, Thank you very much.
It was really wonderful, Professor Behera, to have you and share your ideas and thoughts and the wonderful thing. These ideas or the truths from Bhagavad Gita can really revolutionize not only the current research but also the for the positive enhancement of the human consciousness. Okay, so we thank you for the wonderful session again. And I would request to the participants, those whoever is interested in the real research and they want to give their time and they are really serious, so they can drop their messages here with their email IDs and phone number, and then we may
Yes,
contact you later.
we need to do a lot of experiment. We need many volunteers to come forward to participate in our research. So, Prem Kisar Prabhu, if you can really find volunteers, this will be a great help.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. So I will share the mail IDs which are coming, and I will filter them and I'll share with you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, thank you. Okay, so just a gentle reminder that we have this conference coming up on 22nd and 23rd of May, Environmental Sustainability Redefined through Simple Life Practices and Integrated Spirituality. So many renowned personalities from around the world are coming for this 2 days deliberation. So whoever is interested, kindly register themselves for this wonderful conference on 22nd and 23rd May. Okay. And the next topic would be on next Sunday. Professor Dr. Jyotiranjan will be taking us on the 5 fundamental truths of Bhagavad Gita, and it will be a 2-session seminar series. So 25th of April, part 1, 5 fundamental truths in Bhagavad Gita, part 1, and the 2nd May, another is a part 2 of this 2-session series. So kindly join, and this will really be very interesting talk coming up on these 5 fundamental truths of Bhagavad Gita. Okay, and whoever wants to join this ISS team, drop your phone numbers. We will add you in the our Telegram group and other WhatsApp groups, so that you can get information about the forthcoming seminars and also the other services which are coming up. Thank you. If somebody is asking, is undergraduate student also allowed? Yes, undergraduate students are also allowed to participate in our sessions. Okay, so now the still messages are coming. So we'll wait for another 5 more minutes and then we'll close. In the meantime, if you want to ask anything, you can speak up.